Wood or pellet? Today, 2025 Masterclass, we brought in the woodman of YouTube. Trevor, what's the difference between the two? Walk me through it.
The woodman.
The woodman, that's what they call you.
That's what they call it. What's a better way to heat your house in 2025?
That's why you're the woodman.
Or pellet stove. What's the better way to heat your house? Oh, it's hot. What is this?
Caution, hot stove. And then in Spanish, I'm pretty sure it says wet floor.
So that way you're ready just in case either way.
You spill, fall into it.
Okay.
Now, either way, we are burning wood, but they are two very different systems, Trev. Walk me through the basic differences between the two.
If you're watching this video, you're probably already familiar with the differences between the two. But wood is just literally a wood stove. You have chunks of wood, you throw it in the stove, and you let it rip. Pellet stove is gonna be more specialized. You gotta buy pellets specifically for a pellet stove. A little more automated, can run on a thermostat. It's gonna be a little bit easier to control temperature-wise, which we're gonna get into in this video, but really it's a pros and cons list. I think we start with installation.
So obviously you need pipe ventilation for both. Walk me through what's easier between the two different ones, which one's more simple, and kind of what you need to look at as far as venting goes.
Definitely gonna be a lot more involved when you're installing a wood burning stove. We're gonna have clearances we have to worry about. So when I say clearances, I'm talking about the distance from like a combustible wall or a window or something like that. You really gotta pay attention to that. We gotta take into consideration floor protection. If we're gonna need hearth pads, if it's gonna go on a non-combustible surface. And then last, but certainly not least, what's really important is the piping.
Oh, don't touch it.
Yeah, I wasn't gonna, don't worry. Any wood stove, no matter where you're installing it, has to terminate or exit the house vertically. Always has to go through the roof. Even if you go out a sidewall on the exterior of your house, then from there you have to run it up the roof.
So if you're going 3 stories or something, that's a lot of pipe.
Yeah, and I have another video about a house being sort of an envelope on where you want to install a wood burning stove. So you got to be careful where you install it too. Like they don't do well in basements. Pipe is usually a little bit more costly. So you're going to spend a little bit more on the install process. Your ventilation certainly going to cost more. And then you just got to be a little more hands-on and dialed in on the install setup and the design before you install it. That way you're putting it in a nice, safe location. Man, this thing is hot. My jeans are on fire.
That's what I've noticed with wood stoves too, is they're a lot more touchy. You can't have too little pipe, you can't have too much pipe, your configuration. So with a wood stove, you definitely, like Trevor said, you have to be more dialed in when it comes to the actual design.
I would say 99% of all warranties I've done where they're not performing well or drafting well is install/venting issues.
Because what else is gonna go wrong? It's a big old steel box or a cast iron box. So when you talk pellet stoves, the upfront design, install, all of that is much easier.
Some stoves, you're still gonna have floor protection issues that you gotta pay attention to. Usually though, your clearances to combustibles are much tighter. So you can hug this in much tighter to a wall usually than most wood stoves. Venting and install is much easier. You can see this pellet venting. You know, you can hug this much tighter to the wall.
You just touching that, huh?
Yeah, probably the biggest difference is we can terminate or exit out a sidewall.
Just right out the back.
So let's say you got a second story above you, you don't want to mess with pipe going through. If you need to go right out the back, you definitely can with a pellet stove. So the clear winner on an install standpoint is going to be pellet. Now we are about to get to some big L's. It's going to take a few losses in some other departments that we're going to get to on pellet.
Now let's talk performance, the big P of the situation.
It goes without saying that wood stoves do a fantastic job of heating. You're gonna have a difference between a cast iron wood stove and a steel stove. So this one, for the sake of argument, what we have here is a cast iron, which is our most popular setup. Cast iron radiates heat. So the way this is gonna perform is really quite simple. You load it with wood, you got the catalytic combustor in there to help with efficiency so you're not flying through wood. But quite simply, all it does is heat up the firebox, heat up the cast iron. The cast iron then radiates and you have radiant heat in your room. Radiant heat has a lot of benefits. One, it's a very cozy type of heat. All right, so it feels really good. And then radiant heat is your heating, zone heating. So you're heating the room that it's in predominantly. The other thing with cast iron radiant heat is it's a tremendous amount of heat. So,
yes.
So temp that for me. What's our cast iron sitting at?
We're sitting right around 500.
Okay, so we got 500 degrees of radiant heat, instant heat into the room. Radiant heat is very efficient because it's instantaneous heat. So from a performance standpoint, it's really difficult to beat the powerhouse heat that a wood stove can get you. If you're just all you care about is heat, 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 the fastest way possible, it's really hard to beat a wood stove when it comes to that. You have nice, good quality hardwood, because the type of wood that we use is going to affect how hot the stove is going to get too.
The heat, burn time, all that is going to be dependent on wood.
Yep. Some people say heat is heat. I say false.
Oh yeah, there's a big difference between radiant heat and then a furnace hitting you with hot air.
No one's ever told me heat is heat though.
You just made that up right now?
Yeah.
Let's talk performance now on pellet.
So fundamentally a totally different kind of heat. Now it is true that this is ceramic glass and you are getting some radiant heat through this glass. And this cast iron does build up and retain some heat. So we have the same principle going on as our wood stove.
But you can't tap that wood stove we just touched.
No, I'd have no fingerprints left. Fundamentally, it's totally different. Although we are getting some benefit of radiant heat, these predominantly heat through convection heat. What I mean by convection heat is we have a blower in there, so we're using air to move that heat into the room.
Yeah.
So,
and I have this Harman on whisper quiet mode. If we turn that off, it ramps it up and those fans go faster and louder.
yeah. So there are some benefits to convection heat over radiant heat. And radiant heat we talked about, we're really heating the room that is in predominantly.
Yeah.
Although, again, fundamentally, this is like a different video on where we want to send heat to and that your house layout. Convection heat does a better job of getting heat into a further part of the house quicker.
Yeah.
So if you have like a big space or something with high ceilings where you got to send heat to another space in the house, sometimes convection heat is better for that. Downsides to convection heat, we're going to get into this on ease of use and maintenance, but convection heat does require power.
Yep.
So this is a blower that's pushing all of that heat into the room. So you got to have power. Other downside to convection heat is noise.
I mean, you can hear it. It's a significant sound difference now that that's kicked on.
Other downside to convection heat is regardless of any, man, that is doing a good job though. Regardless of any type of blower system, whether it's furnace or whatever it is, anytime we're moving air with a fan, that just naturally has a cooling effect. Although this is very, very hot air, it's not as efficient as just instant radiant heat coming off a stove.
Let's get proof of that here with the thermometer.
I mean, if you just temp the cast iron above it, this is right where the heat exchanger is. This is where it's going to be hottest. No, it's still hot there, huh?
200 degrees, but then it was 500.
Yeah. What I will say, also, word of caution with pellet stoves when it comes to performance. This is a Harman pellet stove. This is basically the Cadillac of all pellet stoves.
Escalade, some would say.
Pellet stoves have a lot more going on in them. We're talking computer systems, we're talking fans, we're talking electrical wires,
Augers,
motors. What I'm getting at is all pellet stoves are not created equal. Your $15.99 Amazon special is not even going to touch a wood stove.
Yeah, or your feed store. You can go over to Big R, Murdoch's or something, and get a pellet stove for $800.
Yeah.
It's not what you're going to want.
You can only really start to compete with wood stove heat when you're in the Cadillac of pellet stoves.
Yeah.
I shouldn't stand right here.
No.
This is hot. Put it back in quiet mode so the fans at home can hear the fan. The fans can hear the fan. Big difference. And we're still getting a tremendous amount of nice heat coming off of that. Performance, I'm going to give the upper hand to wood stoves. It is much easier to get a wood stove ripping and heating the space compared to a pellet stove. Pellet stoves can do it. You have to make sure you're buying the right one though. I'm going to give the edge to wood stoves.
Third category is ease of use. Walk me through which one is going to be easier to use.
Well, that's a tricky one because they both have their pros and their cons. They both have a couple things that are really nice about them, and a couple things that are not so nice about them.
Okay, let's start with wood.
So let's start with the good things about wood.
Okay.
If you have an EPA certified wood burning stove, you're going to get on a big stove like this 9 to 12 hours of burn time.
Yep.
And once you're up and rolling, you pretty much don't have to touch this thing.
Okay.
There's nothing easier to use than an EPA stove that's already up and ripping. Now, what's nice about the Vermont Castings when it comes to ease of use is they're one of the only brands that do a top loading stove. We can reload a hot stove very, very easy. Just need a good heat glove and you're ready to go. That's it. Pretty much stress-free, maintenance-free, pretty mindless. And wood is, you know, your wood logs are not heavy. So it's really easy to maintain this. In theory, if you got 11-hour burn times, you've loaded up before you go to bed. You get up in the morning, you have hot coals, you open that thing up, fill it up with logs. You're gonna load it 2 to 3 times a day, never think about it when it's freezing cold. Downside though, if you don't have a top loading stove, this would be the other way that you're gonna have to load a stove. You're gonna have to get down on a knee, open this up, load it in here manually. Still not the end of the world, but definitely a little more work. You're gonna have a longer and more hands-on startup process,
Yeah,
right?
you're not pushing a button. There's a lot more steps to the startup. You got to have your air fully open. You have to make sure the cat's not engaged. You have to actually start your fire. So that might mean you are either buying kindling like we have here for ease of startup, or you're out there chopping down kindling, building your fire, starting your fire slowly. You might recognize a little guy like this. If you forget to add logs too long and you have to reignite your flame, there's just a lot more hands-on that you have to be with a wood stove to make sure that you're rolling.
To get it going.
Yes, especially if you have a crappy wood stove.
Yes, but once you're rolling, you pretty much don't have to do anything.
Yeah, on a stove like this, when you get a nice cat stove like this Defiant, it's really, really hard to let it go.
Yeah.
You have to be trying to let it go out.
It's a firebox that you fill with logs.
Simple, that's an acronym. Go ahead and start. SIMPLE. The S is for?
Soap. I don't
soap.
know.
That's the first S word that came to your mind?
The
Simple.
S is for simple.
Okay, the I.
Is for the second letter in simple.
Intensity.
Intensity.
The heat is intense.
The M is for mass.
Okay, mass of wood.
Uh-huh. And the P is for
Performance.
performance. Thank you.
L is for longevity.
No, the L is going to be for lots of wood.
Lots of wood. And the E is for?
Exemplary.
It's exemplary heat.
It's exemplary heat.
Wow. I didn't think you were going to go once you started with soap, but you made it work.
Simple. So the number one advantage of a wood stove over a pellet stove is there is literally, unless you have a fan on it, there is no moving parts. There's nothing that can go wrong with this thing. Outside of your catalytic combustor, you don't have to touch this thing. It's got built-in air wash to keep the glass clean. It is gonna be bulletproof. It is always gonna run as long as you have wood. That is it, plain and simple.
Yeah.
It will always work. When it comes to ease of use, the number one advantage that wood stoves have is longevity.
Longevity, acronym, go.
No. Blowers, a lot of people ask about buying blowers. I think if you have the money for a blower, sure. Waste of money, I wouldn't go that far, but definitely not necessary. There's no blower on this
It
right
doesn't,
now.
people have the concept that a blower creates more heat. It does
doesn't.
not.
It
It just
moves
takes
heat.
the heat and gets it from point A to point B faster. The heat's gonna get there regardless. It's whether or not you could set a fan in front of the stove and it's gonna accomplish the same thing. So if you have the extra $300 or whatever it is, get the blower, do it. It's worth having, but it's not a necessity at all.
Ease of use, pellets can have a really hard time beating this, but let's go talk. There are some ease of uses and some advantages to pellet.
Trev, you're 120 degrees right now.
Yeah, I'm hot. Should we start with the good before we get to a whole lot of bad?
The good, the bad, the ugly. Let's start with the good.
Okay, good. What we see a lot of times is a lot of older clients transitioning from wood burning to pellet. Why?
Yeah.
Because the startup. Remember, the only negative we really gave wood was the startup.
You got to get down on your
Startup
hands and knees.
is very, very easy with
Yeah.
this. All you'd have to do is turn it on.
Yep.
Just
Load the
like a
pellets.
gas stove. Load of
it on.
pellets. The only downside, though, and this is where it's like a catch-22, is the bad thing about it is pellets are in 40-pound bags. So to reload it is physically heavy.
So if you're struggling getting on your hands and knees to start a wood stove, a 40-pound bag is not what you want to be lifting up and dumping.
No, other bad is you have to usually buy a pallet of pellets. You have to store them in a safe, dry, it doesn't have to be safe, I guess, just dry.
Safety's
mostly.
not a huge concern with pellets, I don't think.
Unless you're worried about them catching on fire.
That's true. But if you're thinking about like somebody stealing them, I don't think that's a hot commodity for maybe, I don't know.
Just like a wood stove, if you fully load this thing, you're not going to be loading it like crazy.
No, especially if you have it on thermostat mode, turning itself off and
So
on.
that's the other thing. The biggest advantage that a pellet stove has over a wood stove is going to be temperature control.
Yeah.
So we can put this on a thermostat, and basically wherever we put our thermostat, just like we would a furnace, We could set the temperature to 72 degrees right here, and we could go to the grocery store. We could
Sure.
go hunting.
Sure.
We can go take our kids to the park.
Yep.
We can
Tend
go.
to the horses.
What?
You could tend to the horses.
You can tend to your horses. You could even go on a walk, for crying out loud.
Sure. Hike it up.
You can go on a hike. And when you come back, you're going to be at 72 degrees. Now, if you fire that wood stove, open it full blast, and go on a hike, you could come back to 85-degree room.
Now, I'm going to tell you something.
Yeah. You've done that?
I've done that. On our hunting trips, we have a wood stove, and I overloaded it a few times. But before you know it, you're trying to go to bed, and inside is like 92 degrees. So those sleeping bags are open. You could overdo it with the woods. You can't take that back.
Yeah. Yeah, unless you open a window.
So right now we have it on constant burn mode, have it on high, but let's change it. Room sensing, home. So now I have the temperature set to 84, or to 89, the room is 84, so it's gonna run until it hits 89. But I'm telling you what, I was just sitting here a second ago, I could not be sitting this close to that wood stove.
No. I'll tell you a little secret too. When I was a kid, my grandma had one of these. Our grandma had one of these.
My grandma too, yeah.
Yeah, I could hear that thing kick on in the middle of the night. I'd sneak out there and go stand by it. It was nice.
Yeah.
That's the number one advantage I would give a pellet stove over a wood stove is temperature control. So if you're a guy that likes to be out and about and you don't always want to be tinkering with your air control on your wood stove, this is a set it and forget it. As long as you have pellets in there, it's set it and forget it. So I mentioned all of the moving parts. So we have an intake fan,
Yep.
right? That's blowing air into our burn pot.
Yep.
We have an outtake or an exhaust fan pumping heat into the room. We have an auger motor.
Yep.
That's feeding pellets at a rate based on what the temperature setting is. We're going to have an electronic control board. We're going to have wiring. We're going to have thermostats, and you're going to have an igniter. You put all of that by a ton of sawdust and a ton of heat. What is that a recipe for?
Maintenance.
Maintenance. So like I gave wood stoves the longevity of set it and forget it for 10 to 15 years, this will require hands-on maintenance. And
Regular
even so,
maintenance.
even with regular maintenance, you will 1,000% guaranteed be replacing parts on any pellet stove.
No matter which one you
The
get.
nicer ones, it's going to happen less often. The cheap ones, you're going to be flipping through parts like crazy.
Yeah.
Now, here's the really, really bad thing. If one of those parts go out, your pellet stove is inoperable.
Shuts down.
So if it is your only heat source, you are toast. Actually, you're the opposite of toast. You're frozen.
Your ice cream.
Your ice cream. A wood stove, on the other hand, if your catalytic combustor goes out, you can still get heat out of your wood stove. It's just not going to run as long. So if it's your only heat source, that's a huge negative. Now, if you have a backup heat source, it's not as big of a negative.
Yeah, like if this is your basement heater where you watch TV or movies and stuff, you might be totally okay with that because worst case, you grab a blanket.
Yep.
But if you're heating your whole cabin, your whole house, your whole setup with this, you need to think about that stuff, and you need to have somebody that's fast and ready.
They cannot run in a power outage.
No.
Unless you have an external battery backup or something.
Or a generator.
Or generator. But they are not running without power. Wood stoves, you do not have to deal with that at all. And you got to be a little more hands-on with this. You got to clean out that burn pot. Now, the nicer ones have the self-cleaning setup, all that.
Yeah.
You just gotta make sure you're a little more dialed with a nice clean burn pot. That everything's just kind of on the up and up with your pellet stove.
Let's talk about cost. Not only the cost up front, but long-term cost. Trev, walk me through the cost of a wood stove. What's going to go into it?
A wood stove is going to cost you more on the front side to get it installed. Over the lifespan of the stove, all the things that we talked about, a wood stove is going to save you money.
Yep.
Now, where it really accelerates starting to save you money is if you have free wood on property. At that point, it makes the decision to go wood versus pellet a lot easier if you have access to free wood. That accelerates the cost difference tremendously.
Yeah, because if somebody has free wood on their property, can they just make pellets?
Nope.
Yeah,
I mean, they could if that's what they have a pellet making factory.
Yeah, I don't think people have access to that.
Yeah. Pellet making factory acronym, go.
P is for pellet. E is for exemplary.
No, but it's going to cost you more to install it. The pipe's going to cost you more. You'll probably spend a few $1,000s more installing a wood stove.
Yes, but the question is how long does it take for that to flip? Now that's variant to every job, but it does flip. It 100% will flip at some point or another after maintenance calls, work on it, parts.
Also, too, the other thing is outside of a catalytic combustor, and maybe a blower, both of a few $100. There's nothing to replace. There's no replacement cost down the road.
No, a chimney cleaning once every couple of seasons, every
exactly.
2 or 3 seasons, which is pretty cheap.
On pellet, you got to pay for a creosote buildup or a chimney clean out anyways. You got to do that with either stove.
So is that it for wood?
Yeah, I'm done with wood.
Okay, let's do it. Pellet.
You might save a lot of money. I shouldn't say a lot of money, maybe a few grand on the install, but you'll make that up in a winter or two buying pellets, okay? So I would say after a couple years, they're probably gonna be broken even unless you're buying cords of wood.
After pellets and service,
But even if you're buying wood, you're gonna come out ahead long-term with wood because you're gonna have maintenance costs associated with this. It will eventually be out of warranty and you will be buying replacement parts. And if you can't fix it yourself, you're gonna be paying a service technician, which they're harder and harder to come by, a good pellet stove technician. We sell these and we're having less and less people that can maintenance these.
Yeah, you have $1,000 worth of hardwood stored outside,
Yes.
and it gets wet. What happens?
It's not gonna burn great, it's gonna smoke a lot.
But if you just let it dry out, it gets better.
Yeah.
It'll treat itself.
Yes.
You have $1,000 worth of pellets, gets wet. What happens?
Done.
They're done. You can never reuse those pellets again. They swell up, they're ruined.
Gone.
Whereas wood, you just have to let it re-dry out. You have to give it
Now
time
let me
to
ask
dry
you
out.
another question.
Do it.
Let's say a little squirrel gets in there and dies.
Dead.
Then you accidentally dump the squirrel in the hopper.
Oh my.
Then what happens?
Have you seen that happen? You end
No.
up burning a squirrel.
A mouse, maybe.
Yeah, field mouse. I've had cooking pellets at my house, and rodents and stuff will get through the bags. So now you have to think about storage. You for sure have mice and stuff in your stored wood, but who cares? Big categories are in. The wins and losses are in. Trev, who's the winner?
I'm gonna go with wood, only because the downsides to pellets are such big downsides. The inability to run it, if you have a service issue, the inability to run it without power, the fact that the heat coming off the stove is just not quite as powerful.
Yeah.
The fact that we have to store and, well, I guess just store and buy pellets. A lot of people that are buying wood stoves usually have access to free wood. Ease of use, better heaters, they work no matter what. Now you run out of humans, you have a problem on your hand.
Yeah, who's gonna start it?
I didn't think about that. That should go on the cons list. Because this will run on a thermostat without a human.
Yeah, all the humans are dead. That's still gonna fire until it's out of pellets. Who's gonna fire the wood stove?
Nobody.
They're dead.
I didn't think about, redo the video. Let's start over from the top. Let's factor that in as a category of apocalypse.
All humans dead.
Zombie apocalypse. Yeah, we got a whole different ballpark going on.
Gosh, there's zombies?
They don't know how to light it.
They don't like fire.
They don't like being caught on fire.
Do you know what a zombie is?
Uh-huh. It's a human that's infected. They're like the undead, like the Undertaker. There's two different types of zombies.
Oh my goodness, the Undertaker's in this scenario now?
One is a supernatural being, right?
Yeah.
They're the undead, like the Undertaker.
Yep.
The second is easily confused as a zombie, but it's actually technically not a zombie. They're usually infected with some, fungus or some terrible disease that gives them a zombie-like appearance, and gives them rabies in the brain. That's a scientific zombie.
Which one is better
At lighting a
in
fire.
a wood stove?
Inside a wood stove. Good question.